Good afternoon. You're watching KTN Weekend at 1. It is Sunday, the 27th of April 2014. My name is Najma Ismail. Now, Deputy President William Ruto says the Jubilee government will not be distracted by the opposition and will strive to achieve the pledges they made to Kenyans during their campaigns. Speaking in Nairobi during a Sunday church service, Ruto said the government will not discriminate in service delivery and said those who voted for the opposition should not be worried. He also asked the opposition to respect constitutionally created offices, saying the disbandment of the IEBC will not be a popular idea at this time.
That against the odds, God gave us the leadership of this country. When the opinion poll said we were trailing, God told us you are leading. Man, God has given the leadership of this country, that we are going to serve all Kenyans equally. Those who voted for us, and those who did not vote for us, we are going to serve them without any segregation or discrimination, because we have one government serving all people in one nation, because we believe we are all what God has made us to be.
Now, dozens of buildings along Magadi Road are earmarked for demolition to pave way for the construction of a dual carriageway. The construction of the dual carriageway is expected to ease the traffic jam that has become a common feature along Magadi Road, which leads to Ongata Rongai. In a move aimed at sensitizing the public on the new plan, the Kajiado County government convened a public forum at Rongai Market. During the meeting, county government officials urged residents who may be affected by to embrace the road project, arguing it will help unleash great economic potential for the expanding Ongata Rongai area. Market traders and Jokali artisans urged the county government to ensure they do not lose their sources of livelihood.
To decongest Ongata Rongai particularly, either during peak periods in the morning or in the evening, it's very simple. If we can even just have service roads, both on the left and on the right of the main road, which can be serving the shops and those structures which are along the road, those alone will make sure that they have decongested completely the main road.
History is being made at the Vatican in Rome with the canonization of two popes. Hundreds of thousands of pilgrims, more than a dozen heads of state, at least 20 prime ministers and royalty are at this hour gathered at St. Peter's Square for the historic event. Pope John Paul II, who served as Pope from 1978 to 2005, and Pope John XXIII, who was the pontiff from 1958 to 1963, will be declared saints during today's ceremony. The two are buried in crypts in St. Peter's Basilica. It is the first time in the history of the church that two popes are being canonized at the same time. Pope Francis is presiding over the canonization mass. His predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI, is consecrating the mass. It is the first time since his resignation in 2013 that Pope Benedict, who lives in secluded retirement, is celebrating mass in public. The mass, which brings together two popes, is to be conducted with the assistance of 150 cardinals and 700 bishops. Turkana is infamous for its unforgiving weather and unrelenting calamity, but the beautiful traditions of the Turkanas often go untold. Today, Ashimwilu takes you through a day of laughter and happiness in Turkana as a man and a woman become husband and wife.
Song and dance erupt deep in the heart of Turkana County. It's a happy day for residents of this village. They've brought out their best animals for slaughter. Men, women, the young and the old, all gathering up for a huge party. The cultural pomp and color has been organized for a special couple. Although James Longor Lowassa and his wife Christine Longor had their civil wedding in 2008, back home, they are yet to be recognized officially as married. But now, their traditional wedding ceremony will change that.
Hii ni muhimu kwa sababu kuna wale wananifuata ambayo hawatafanya mila bila mimi bila kutoka mbele yao. Lazima kuna ule alikuwa pia mbele yangu amefanya ndio mimi nikafuata. Sasa kuna wale wako nyuma yangu, lazima nifanye ndio wao wapata nafasi ya kumalizana na mila hao.
The Turkanas value the institution of marriage, and even the outfits worn by the bride and the groom have symbolic meanings.
Juu kabisa kuna chuma ambayo ni wedding ring, ambayo inaonekana hapo. Hiyo sasa ni ring, ni pete. Kwa Kiturkana hatukuwa tunavalisha kidole, kwa hivyo unatengenezewa pete ambayo ni chuma.
Wakati tunafika kwa masemeji, hatakani ujitokeze directly, lazima wawe na shindwa ni nani ndio anafanya haya mambo ya harusi kwa siku ya leo.
Unlike their church wedding, the traditional one has costed the Longors more money. As culture dictates, the bride is given 3 donkeys carrying utensils and jerrycans for fetching water. 3 goats must be slaughtered in a forest during the wedding, 1 for the elders, 1 for the women, and 1 for the young men. When Lowassa arrives at his bride's house, a bull must be slaughtered. For the Turkanas, the sun will go down and the song will fade away, but the strength of marriage will last. Ashamwilu, KTN.
Interesting. Now, when you hear the title Deaf Rapper, what do you think? After all, isn't rap music about beats and words? Life may have taken away his ability to hear at a young age, but Lal Dagi has refused to let that stop him from pursuing his dream to be a rapper. Dagi is our survivor this week.
Your flag and show them you are a Kenyan. Wave, if you are a...
The way he moves to the beat, you would think that Douglas Munyando is in a studio session like any other. You will notice that it's not the beat that he's bopping to, but it's the vibrations. Yes, 23-year-old Douglas is deaf and also a rapper.
And then I had a dream. It's when I was going Kisumu that I had a dream that I wanted to become a musician. But I will see there is no other deaf musician, so that's what I wanted to become in life. And I'll see videos, pictures of 50 Cent, Lil Wayne with their dressing, and I really liked that. And so those 2 became my real models, the American rappers. And I said, this is what I want to do.
Douglas was not born deaf. When he was 3 years old, he fell ill. He had an unexplainable fever. His parents took him to hospital, and a few days later, he was discharged. However, when his parents would call his name, he wouldn't answer. He had turned deaf, and they never realized it until another visit to the doctor.
And at the time I became deaf, my mom got lost, and I didn't understand why. My father didn't give me a detailed explanation, so I've grown up with my father.
His father, however strict, gave Douglas and his 10 siblings the best he could, taking Douglas to the best schools he could afford that would nurture him and not make him feel like he's lesser than others. This gave Douglas the liberty to dream.
And there was one teacher who really encouraged me to follow my dream. And I remember the one time we had a national school competition, and mine was the best song. I was the one who won. And that really promoted me to really dream big. And I was very zealous. So when I finished Form 4, I decided, what do I want to do with my life? So my father asked me, what do you want to do now that you finished Form 4? Do you want to go? What do you want to do? So I didn't answer my father. I decided this is my secret, because if my father is a pastor, if he had I want to be a rapper musician, he'll just be like, what? So I decided, let me keep it inside me.
So he came to Nairobi. But life in the big city can be cruel for a young boy with a big dream.
I went to Nairobi. I lived with my cousin in Dandora. And I met a guy known as Bugs. So when I met this guy called Bugs, I asked him, you know what, I want you to voice for me. So, you know, he's a hearing guy, and you're like, wait. So, you know, I really tried, you know, when he'll pass, I'll be like, hi, because I had a goal, I had an objective. And I'll wave to him, and I'll try to just say hi. until when we had time to meet and really discuss. So I asked Bugs, I really want to be a big musician. Why? You know, when I sign, what about the other hearing audience? They'll wonder, what am I signing?
Bags or Collins would later lend Douglas his voice for the very first Kenyan deaf rapper's music video dubbed Proudly Kenyan. Douglas would jot down some lyrics, give it to Collins, who helps to construct the verses. Add that in a 4-year friendship and you get this.
Laldagi, Bugs, okay, we go. Kenya motherland, oh, we love you very bad. And I'm proud to be Kenyan, you can see it in my eyes, you can see it on their eyes, you can see it when you smile any place. Oh, black for the people, red for the struggle, this for the
My mom, what happened was, you know, she was shocked. She was like, I think she remembered my face, I think, from memory. You know, now my official name and my stage name are two different things. And she was like, I think maybe that's my son. So she thought, do I call the father? No, let me try and call the villagers around home. I'll look for the numbers, try call them, ask them the village there. And, you know, ask indirectly to my father, what happened to our son? Where did he live? Did he die? What happened to him? So the father gave them the feedback that you know, he wants to be a big musician. He wants to promote his talent as a deaf rapper musician. So we started communicating with my mom on phone, text, and then we decided to meet in town with my sister. So we met in town, and I was surprised. I didn't know who that was. And, you know, I was a baby when she disappeared from my life. So we started talking. So when my mom came, I felt like I was really emotional, you know. I really was so emotional. I didn't know that she tested me, and, you know, we hugged. I was so emotional. And I thank God because I grew up well, and we started communicating since then. Yeah, so sometimes I'll text my father. I texted my father and told him that we've met with my mom, and my dad was like, what? Okay, fine. So my dad was interested to know, you know, how is that gonna play out? Yeah, but, you know, I'm happy God made me grow up the way I did.
In order to keep his eye on the goal, Douglas surrounds himself with a great support system.
It's been a long journey, but I'm happy his video is out. It's receiving airplay. I'm happy for that.
Sometimes in life, all you need is a good friend. Sylvia and Collins, though they can hear, have developed this friendship with Douglas, a friendship that surpasses the challenge of hearing, a friendship that seems will last forever.
Collins and Sylvia work on a volunteer basis to ensure that Douglas fulfills his dreams.
At least being in the deaf community, I was familiar with how it will be possible if he had a voice. And when I got to talking, he told me they've done the recording at the studio, but they haven't done yet a video. And he was looking for sponsors because he didn't have enough budget. So we supported him in that concept of looking for sponsors. I will call the video companies, the video recording companies, book appointments, we'll go. I help with the editing of the video in terms of synchronizing the voice with the signs, because the person editing isn't familiar with their signs. And yeah, I'm his number one fan. I'm a big supporter. If he invites me, if he has any issues, if I have time, I go down there.
One thing I love about Kenya ni wameanza kuembrace almost everything, every positive thing in a come out of Kenya wanaichukua na mkono mbili. Like Dagi alisema, government may recognize deaf people, which is a good thing, yeah. And wase kwa mtaa, like for example kuja sai studio, utazadhani si wote tunabonga, sababu kuna matime zingine mtu atakuja hapo ndani aanze kuongelesha Dagi eni aje kufiti. Dagi unajua pia atakuonyesha yeye ni deaf, atamgotea, amwangalie. So okay, maybe producer namwambie huyu ni deaf. Go like aje una deaf msafi, hiyo design. Unajua perception yao ni madef waga wamejiachilia nini.
The challenge is that, when hearing people think you're a deaf rapper, they try and ignore you. That's a challenge. They ignore you. They don't think you can go any far. But I know, don't ignore the deaf people. Because if there's an interpreter and there's voice, the communication will be solved. Yeah, so I know deaf people can do anything.
Douglas is taking this chance and making it count. Catherine Omwando for the Survivor Series.
Well, an amazing story there by Catherine Omonto. Make sure you join us next Saturday for more on the Survivor Series. Now, moving on, retired President Daniel Moi today attended a Sunday Mass service at the AIC Kabarak Charter. Moi, who was one of the first people to attend the service at around 10 a.m. this morning, was accompanied by Press Secretary Lee Jiru, his Private Secretary John Lokorio, and Moi High School Kabarak Principal Henry Kiplagat, among others. The sermon was delivered by the school's chaplain, who called on the nation to be steadfast and united in the war against terror, saying the fight should not divide the country on religious lines. Now, hundreds of revelers attended the Luo Festival, which kicked off last night at the Carnival grounds. The night was filled with a mixture of traditional foods and music, graced by the performance of local artists. Those in attendance could barely stand the ground as they danced into the night. The two-day festival, sponsored by the Standard Group Media Group, Arena Media, Nairobi County and the Youth Fund, is meant to celebrate the Luo culture through its music and food.
We encourage culture, cultural events, cultural interactions, and that's why we are here celebrating the Luo culture. We will be celebrating other cultures with time, but we thought with the swag that the Luo have, where else to start?
Welcome back. Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete led his 40 million plus compatriots at the climax of 3-month-long celebrations to mark the 50th anniversary of Tanzania's mainland independence. Uhuru Stadium in Dar es Salaam was the venue for the historic event, which was also witnessed by at least 14 foreign heads of state and top representatives of several countries. In attendance were Prime Minister Mazengo Pinda, retired presidents Mr. Ali Hassan Mwinyi and Benjamin Mkapa, plus 9 former prime ministers. Military displays, including a fly-past by fighter jets, song and dance were some of the highlights for the day, whose significance is sure to stir a long, happy and emotional memories for many. Over the past 5 decades since attaining self-rule from Britain in 1961, Tanzania has registered many achievements in the social, economic and political spheres. In 2013, the Kenya Defence Forces erected a monument at the Nanyuki Kenya Army Barracks. On this monument were the names of 26 gallant soldiers, some as young as 23 years, who gave their lives in the names of regional peace. To many, they were just boots and guns in Somalia beyond their profession. These men were fathers, sisters, and brothers. Starting tonight, we want to put faces to these names. Who were these brave men? The Standard Media Group traveled across the country and spoke to some of the families. For some of the scars of war are permanent for others, but the only way to cope is by remembering the sacrifice their sons made for this country. Scars of War starts tonight at 9 p.m.
We travel to the slopes of Kisii.
He was saying, Daddy, I may not come back.
To the floor of the Rift Valley.
The life of my son never equated to any money.
Hiyo jina hata singependa kusikia tena, ingawa hata babangu ni mjeshi, singependa hata kusikia jina.
And here on the shores of the Indian Ocean to bring you stories of brave men who gave up their lives for the country they loved and the families struggling to cope with their absence. Scars of War, starting this Sunday to Wednesday at 9 p.m.
Well, that's it on KTN Weekend at 1 this afternoon. My name is Najma Ismail. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.